Hello and welcome back to the WTF Sunderland Podcast with me, Dave Lawrence. Sorry to disappoint you all. Graham's working very hard on deadline day across the border. Sure, Wraith Rovers are trying to sign somebody last minute and he's trying to find out what's going on. But we have a stellar cast with us to focus on it. Also, just in case anyone hasn't realised from Graham's ex, he is a little bit upset that Patrick has now left us. Hopefully, it's not the last time we ever see him, but something tells me that season-long loan and the fact that he's gone down the Championship probably tells us everything we need to know about it. So with us tonight, we have... where should we go first? We have Peter Oliver. How are we doing, Pete? Everything all right?
Absolutely smashing. What a deadline day for Sunderland. Plenty to work through, but overall, I think I'm pretty happy with it so far. Happy to be here, of course, in Big Dave's Transfer Tavern. You may be able to hear the jostling of the clientele, the glasses chinking between one another, the everybody holding their breaths in anticipation as the window has just slammed shut, of course, on Big Dave's Transfer Tavern. Windows, how many windows do you know that slam shut apart from transfer windows?
Oh, yeah. Not as many as you'd think with that same, would you?
Anyway, no, happy, mate. Very happy with it. All positive for Sunderland, I think, so far.
Love that. And through interactions this evening, we'll leave the miserable one to last. So we'll go to Sophie next. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Happy to be on and discuss our brilliant summer. And yeah, we'll pick the bones of it, I'm sure. But you know what? We've been given the tools now. It's up to the team to perform, and hopefully we can stay in the division and obviously win a cup or get Champions League. Why not?
Oh, I love the delusion. Love the delusion. That's what we're here for, especially as Brad's not on tonight. I apologise for that last week. Yeah, I mean, last but not least, Mr. Ian Dobson. How we doing?
Very well, thank you. Very well. An interesting day. It's interesting all round the country. Obviously, here to digest the ingoings and potential outgoings from Sunderland, along with me tea that's just been delivered by my wife. So that's spend most of my day trying to work out how to pronounce one of the signings' names, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of that going on tonight. So all good.
Yeah, unfortunately for everyone, I mean, Graham was a little bit worried about doing this as a live reaction, which I kind of totally get. I totally understand, especially with my pronunciations. I'm really surprised I've pronounced pronunciations right, if I'm quite honest. So I will be going to Peter because, let's be honest, he's up there and he's got plenty of foreign vocabulary. So, Peter, I hope you've done your homework. We've just seen, I think, a bit of breaking news from Keith that apparently we're still working on 9 outgoings, so there could be quite a bit happening as we're going backwards and forwards tonight. But it looks like 3 through the door tonight, providing everything gets done properly. Pete, what's your thoughts on the 3 new lads today before we go back on? It's so hard to believe that we've pretty much got a brand new squad, let alone another 3 new signings tonight.
Yeah, I'm going through the list, and if you'd said after that game at Wembley that these were the players that Sunderland would be bringing in, people would have been checking what you were drinking, at the least. Lutsharel Geertruida is how I'm going with it. I might be completely wrong, but I'm liking that little Dutch tongue roll that comes between the T and the R that comes Geertruida. I might be absolutely off, but that's my guess on it. I'll start with him because we'll start at the back and move our way forward. Lying if I said I knew absolutely anything about him, but the stats that I've seen, he looks like what we need. Somebody who can play at centre half, can fill in at that right-sided centre half for Ballard if he's not available, but also providing us extra cover and really solid, great cover for Traoré. I mean, the lad's a Dutch international, and you don't get to play for the Dutch national side without having something about you. So very excited to see what he can do with that. The lad up front now. I know even less about him. However, my dad did do the standard thing my dad always does. He goes, "Hey, I've just watched all the YouTube videos. He looks mint." I'm like, "Aye, Dad, but Everybody we watch on YouTube looks absolutely brilliant. But he looks absolutely grand. I think the fact of having somebody who is a proper number 9 goal scorer and having that. So a lot of the chances seem to be he's first to a, or not a lot of them, but some of them I've seen he's first to a second ball. I think the fact that Sunderland have some of those creative players that they do means that if you can start pinging balls into boxes and having somebody to try and get on them and attack them, I think he could be an excellent addition there. The right winger, Traoré. Now, he started out at Chelsea, because, we're going through that. He started out at Chelsea, played 10 games for them, 40-odd games for the Villa as well. I can kind of remember him being in the English football, but not really. I think I've probably watched some Super Sunday when he was at Villa. But, it's financially a fantastic deal, £2.5 million now these days. I mean, that was just that was pretty much the money they got from Chelsea for the Guehi snafu as combo from that. So I think bringing those 3 in, yeah, we've got another centre half, we've got a right winger. All right, Patrick, it does look like, has left and Roberts has gone, but we've got somebody coming in for that spot, and we've got an out and out centre forward. I think that probably means we start seeing Wilson coming on more as a left winger, perhaps, or even as a second striker in a 4-4-2. But yeah, I'm overall very, very positive from what I've seen coming through the club. But I think I'm more positive and more confident about the way that the ownership have done these deals, that there's not big. I like everything about how it's being done. The business is being done quite quietly when it needs to be done. When it's come to John Lutsharel or whatever, we don't have to learn how to say his name until at least January, from Bologna, Big John from Bologna. They went public, or had people go public when it needed to be public, which it did. That hasn't worked, but basically he's now goosed with Bologna. They know he wants to leave and he wants to join Sunderland. I think the club's handled it all very well. I think the deals that they've gone for have been not only solid deals at the right value, but also really ambitious deals. Now, I think we knew that all from the off with the signings of Xhaka, but this is there are people looking at Sunderland coming up for the Premier League, and people in the Premier League looking at Sunderland thinking, we weren't expecting that. This is a different challenge this season than we were expecting. Because loads of teams would have looked at Sunderland at home as a winnable match, or playing against them, the Sunderland is a winnable match for them. They're not doing that now, and I think that's it's frightening as all hell, but it is also really, really fills us with loads of confidence about what's going on behind the scenes is backing up some of what we've seen on the pitch. And because when it's been good on the pitch, it's been really, really good.
Absolutely. I think we've had such a mentality shift. It's unbelievable. I think that everything you've just said, I totally agree with. And the level
on that mentality shift, we saw that. I mean, how many Sunderland managers have we seen over the years? When you're losing 1-0, what do you do? What happens? What comes on? Reggie had no belief in his mind other than I'm making substitutions and tactical changes to win this match, and I love that. I love it so much.
It's almost aligned with how we are as fans, and not giving up, and dare I say it, till the end, and all that type of jazz.
Till the end. that wall's going to have to get. They're going to have to do. I tell you what, there's some bricklayers going to be heading to Sunderland, isn't there?
Yeah, it's so nice to be so positive, kind of. Yeah, I mean, where do you go with it? We are a bit of a nostalgic podcast, really. I think me and Graham definitely kind of align with that nostalgia, and it is sad to see how transformed we've become over the last couple of months. But at the same time,
don't worry, Dave. I'm also very much living in the past, because there I am comfortable, because the present confuses me and the future terrifies me.
That's definitely a different podcast. But yeah, I think the one thing that's impressed me most is how they've realised, and going from the Championship last season to where we are now, the physicality and the pace and the power of the Premiership. And I think that's everything that we've addressed. And it's really, really scary, Sophie, to see the talent that we've brought through the door without knowing too much about them. But what's your thoughts on where we've strengthened the best, and kind of which part of our squad now do you see as being the best part of our squad?
I mean, the word you used was transformative, and that's exactly what we've been. and that's exactly what the hierarchy have done at the football club. But in terms of incomings, I mean, you have to say our defence now is really strong, and I've been really impressed with. Obviously, on Saturday, I was impressed with Mukiele. I was impressed with Alderete. Ronaldo, I said last time that he impressed me, although he gave the penalty away. And in that, I'm including Roofs as well. You know, I think it's really, really important that our defence is strong this season because they're going to be tested. But I also think that midfield, you know, we're at deadline day and, you know, someone had said to me today, oh, do you think you'll go after another midfielder? I went, absolutely not. Our midfield's class. So, but you know what? They've been really proactive and that's great for us.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree anymore, to be quite honest. And I agree with Pete, which I think we've just had confirmation that Brian Brobbey is confirmed. And for that matter, talking about nostalgia, I almost see him, Ian, as a bit of an Emil Heskey type. I don't know whether that's the right way to go. And a lot of people might kind of question me and go, Jesus, I'm not sure that Emil Heskey was any good. I apologise. Apparently, it's Brian Brobbey. I do apologise for that. My PA has corrected me. Thank you very much for that. So, what's your opinions on him, Ian? Do you know much about him first and foremost, or are you just being like the rest of us Sunderland fans and totally believing in the recruitment model at the minute?
I mean, going off the first few games of the season, it's hard not to get behind what they're doing. I have also spent my whole day trying to remember to pronounce the R in his surname and been calling him Brian Brobbey to everyone I've been talking about it at work. So you're not the only one, and I will continue to do so just because that's just how I am. I don't know a great deal about him. I know he had a pretty good season before last, scored a lot of goals, got a lot of assists, had a difficult one to do some off the field stuff last year. And he knows where the goal is, and there's quite a lot of assists as well. So, you know, he's not just in it for goals himself. It shows that he can bring players in around him, and we've got people who run beyond the ball. So I think he's only 23 as well, so still relatively young. Time to develop. He's not a finished article, which is kind of the game plan with a lot of our signings now. As hard as it'll be for us not to watch Mayenda up top every week after everything he's done over the last year and how far he's come from not getting a kick for Hibernian 12 months ago to pretty much dragging us through games himself. You know, it's cutthroat, and you know we're seeing that now with Patrick Roberts going. But I have to be positive because we've got a lot right off the field and on the field in the last couple of months. So long may it continue.
Definitely, I couldn't agree anymore. I think with them, and the one thing I will correct myself with Brian Brobbey is if we call him Brian Bobby, he probably sounds a bit more like a darts player. So I don't want to give the lad a bit of a complex. Do you know what I mean? But I think he fits the model of something that we've had since the League One days. Oh, that's absolutely murdered me. No, the wonder we don't do this live. That has absolutely murdered me, Mr. Brobbey. Oh, God, it's killed me. So, anyway, back to it. The one thing that he does bring to the party is something we've seen since the League One days, and talking about outgoings like Patrick Roberts. We obviously lost Jack Clark in the Championship, but a bit of a rehabilitation centre for players who have maybe lost their way ever so slightly, but still have more than enough to offer the team, the squad, and giving us a different aspect to how we may have to play at times. I really like that. I really like how thought out the situation is. And I think Brian Brobbey does that. I can't not get that, Mr. Brobbey, out of my head. No, you've absolutely killed us. Good luck editing that. So, with that, I'm really, really excited. And like I say, the comparisons to Emil Heskey, whilst also a little bit tongue-in-cheek, do give us a focal point and something which, through lack of experience, I think Eliza Mayenda maybe lacks, and certainly Wilson Isidore. I don't know whoever said he was a centre forward, but it was very clear when we got to the Premier League he was going to be a left winger. Don't know if I've mentioned that before. So with that, I think we've covered, because we've had a couple of Premier League games already. 6 points out of 9, average of 2 a game. God, I'm glad one North East club's doing something for the region. So yeah, with that, I think moving on, the one thing which would be amiss of us, Pete, to not mention is some of the lads that are looking as though they're going to head out. I think we just heard before that there's still potentially another 9 outgoings. But Patrick Roberts has just been confirmed to Birmingham. We've been massive advocates of Patrick Roberts on this show because technically we think he's wonderful. He's had Champions League career. He's had Premier League career. Been doing it since he was 17, if I'm not mistaken. 16, I think it was Fulham, and then City signed him at 17. I think we've just been a little bit blessed to have him on the Stadium of Light turf, haven't we?
Yeah, look, he's been a massive part of where the club is now. Without Patrick Roberts, there is no night in Sheffield Wednesday that gets us to the playoff final and out of League One. There's no, top bin screamer in the last minute a couple of years ago to try and get us into the playoffs. He's been a huge part of the rejuvenation of Sunderland AFC, and it's a sad day, genuinely is. As much as I've been so positive about the players coming in, yeah, Patrick Roberts is genuinely going to make me feel a little bit sad that he's not going to be there anymore. But he's been a great servant to the club, and they all do have to move on at some point. Some we would like to stay longer than others. Others make decisions, based on different things. Birmingham's a good move for him. I think he'll do well there, and I mean, without it's he's responsible for this one of the biggest sliding doors moments in Sunderland's history, really. I mean, he doesn't finish that goal at Sheffield Wednesday, we do not have Granit Xhaka and the scenes that we got at the Stadium of Light against Brentford on Saturday. And it's, as much as it's sad, I wish him all the best for at Birmingham. I hope it really, really works out for him. And yeah, all the best for the future. But he'll always be a big part of the KLD experience, which sounds like some kind of prog rock band. But the Kirill Louis-Dreyfus era will always, I think, when we look back, hopefully we're looking back at it from a place of Champions League football and all kinds of good stuff. But it started with players like Patrick Roberts. So, he'll always be remembered fondly in Sunderland, I think.
Absolutely. I think one thing we've always tried to be on the pod, and I guess us as people really, is balanced. And I think that mentality shift, me and Graham have mentioned it on plenty of occasion, of Alex Neil. And for as much as some people might leave with a little bit of a tarnished reputation and stuff, if they've done good for us, we should remember that. I don't think Patrick Roberts leaves with any kind of tarnished reputation whatsoever. I think we welcome back any day. And I think we've been blessed to see someone with such technical ability. Does he frustrate at times? Absolutely. Will we all remember that goal at Sheffield away? Absolutely we will, and we'll remember it with great fondness, as we should, I think. I suppose the different end of the scale of kind of ending a journey and coming on to a new journey. Sophie, we'll come to you. Jensen Seelt gone to Wolfsburg on loan, and as far as I know, not any obligation to buy or option to buy or anything like that. So purely just a move for his development, I think, and not to stagnate within our squad. And I think we saw the second game where he was forced to come on against Burnley. He was still a little bit rough around the edges and things like that. How do you think this move is going to benefit him? And do you think he still has a future at Sunderland? Do you think he'll be back and kind of move on and progress his career with us? Or do you think that's kind of him towards the door?
I think that it's a hell of a move for him. I think it's a really good experience that he can go and have and go and play. And I think that's the most important thing for Jensen, is that he can go and play and that he can go and build up that experience. Look, I think there's a player there. I really, really do. I think that his physical attributes, athleticism, can all play a part in any club within, I think, the Premier League. At least maybe he's in a couple of seasons' time. That could be next year. It could be the year after that. It could be in 5 years' time. But I just think that I think he has all the qualities, and I think that he's a hard worker. I think that's what you could see when he came on, and you know what? He helped the team out. I thought that maybe this season he was going to be like Leo Hjelde. Last season when he came on, maybe it's the last 10, 15, 20 minutes of a game to shore up that back line. But I think it's important for Jensen, with the injuries that he's had, that he goes out and has a full season where he can come back and then he can compete for a place. Because I think there is a place for him at Sunderland. But whether that's next season, who knows? But he's got to go out and play. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely. I think to look at him, he's, in terms of like Premier League footballer, he seems to fit every physical attribute that you could want. So it purely is probably just to get games under his belt, I guess, and bring him on. But I think just having a look back and Ian, my glamorous assistant, having a look at the figures from last year, Wolfsburg finished 6th in Bundesliga last year. That is nothing to be sniffed at. And if he's going there with the intention of getting quite a bit of game time, I think that's a fantastic move for him personally. Ian, coming to you, your reward for that fantastic little bit of information.
I was wrong anyway, mate. They finished 11th.
Absolutely stitchery of a kipper. Love it. That's what I do. That's what I get for trusting you. I guess the last of the inverted commas big name outgoings, not big name compared to what we've gotten in, but especially for us last year and playing parts and how we needed that experience within the squad. I guess the big question is Alan Brown taking that flag back to Riverside, or is Wilson keeping it in his bedroom?
I've seen whispers on Twitter that Borough fan has confirmed that is part of the deal, that they've taken him back with an obligation to also receive the corner flag that Wilson took as his own. Class move for Brown, to be fair. It's good for them as well. I work with a few Borough fans who have asked the question, and it improves them, because I know they've sent out one of their lads on loan to Plymouth, one of the young lads, and it's an upgrade because they need championship experience. So he'll get games, he'll get minutes, and it's what he needs at this point, unless we've completely broken him and he gets injured again after not being injured for 10 years before signing for us. So it's a really good move, smart move.
Absolutely. The one thing I want to mention is I got a great geography lesson off Roscoe this afternoon, telling me that he's just bought a house in the northeast, so going to Borough means he doesn't have to relocate. So thanks for that, Ross. I didn't realise that's how it worked, but thank you. We miss you. Love you lots, buddy. With that, I guess the only bit to come back to, and I guess everyone can have an opinion on this, bit of a strange one. I have just read Christian Speakman's comments on it, actually, which, again, seemed really, really professional to me, and I quite like the wording of it, and especially as he was saying that he thinks the relationship with Chelsea is still quite good, which is always a good thing, especially until we surpass them in 3 years' time and we're loaning them players. Bound to happen. We can already see it. The Marc Guehi deal. Pete, I'll come to you first. Bit of a strange one. I mean, yeah, it's my favourite quiz question in 20 years' time is going to be, which is the only England manager ever, obviously a sore subject for us Sunderland fans, only Englishman ever to have 100% record and not concede a goal as England manager? We all know the answer. I think this one is probably going to be up there as well. But yeah. Thought.
Look, it's not gone to plan, has it, from anybody's side? But I think Sunderland's come out of it really well. They've getting, what is it, 2 million quid as a compensation for him. They've been paid back the money that they'd paid him in any wages. The lad himself's clearly had a lovely time in the last couple of weeks. He's just posted a really nice message saying, thank you, absolute honour to wear the jersey. Everybody's been so welcoming, the city, the passion, all of that, all the great stuff that would make you think that he'd been there for 5 years and been through the thick and thin, but clearly he's enjoyed his time. I don't think we're going to miss him that much. I'm quite happy they've got Brobbey in instead. Yeah, I on the message of the Instagram, it's lovely, but I'm not going to criticize anybody from a typo, and there is one in there. It was being pointed out to me in our group chat. He does refer to it as Underland at the end then, but anybody who's in our group chat knows that every message I send needs about 3 re-edits after I've just messed it up over and over again. So I can't blame anybody for doing that. But I think it's worked out quite well because if they're getting 2 million back for him, then they've paid 2 million for Traoré. I think we need Traoré or cover on that right better than we need the striker because we've getting what you might call him, Mr. Brobbey in. Mr. Brobbey, who's coming in to help us all out and cause havoc amongst the. I really want to see him running through defenders, just causing like in a corner or something like that. Like, anyway, no, Marc Guehi was the question. I think, look, it hasn't worked out as it was intended, but I think it's worked out pretty well, and it's worked out pretty well in Sunderland's favour. Clearly, we have a very good relationship with Chelsea. I think Sunderland's actions in this show have gone on to sort of consolidate that relationship even more. Yeah, they've got some players that we might fancy taking off them and in the while, and yeah, hopefully we can continue that.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think the Instagram message kind of shows exactly where we are as a club. I keep mentioning Simon Grayson for the juggernaut comment all those years ago, and I genuinely feel as though we do have that pull in the right direction at the minute, from board to kind of scouting to management to off the field stuff. It's brilliant. Yeah, Sophie, same question to you. It is quite a weird one. I don't know whether to ask you that question or whether the announcer on a Saturday is going to go, and here's your new number 9, Mr. Brobbey, because it has absolutely ruined me. Yeah, I mean, nobody's going to be able to say his name on this podcast ever again.
Now
So,
you've all ruined it for me.
man, it's absolute murder. But yeah, Marc Guehi, what's your thoughts? Do you
It's
think
a
we'll ever see
weird.
him in a Sunderland shirt ever again?
It's really weird. It's a strange one, isn't it? But I think sometimes with us, you can never put your finger on what exactly has happened. It's the mystery of supporting Sunderland. It's just one of the mad things. But we might see him in a Sunderland top again. You never know. But I think that it's always good to remain in good stead with people like Chelsea because they always have good players coming through their academy. They're one of those where they just cherry pick youth players from absolutely anywhere and they always seem to come good, or at least they make a quick buck on them. So I think that it's a strange one, but now that we've got a new striker in, like what Pete said, I don't think we're going to miss him, but I will never forget that header against Huddersfield. He'll go down in Sunderland folklore.
Yeah, I mean, the best 1-1 draw we've ever seen. Unbelievable scenes. Yeah, Ian, I mean, you can have the last word because normally you've got some brilliant, brilliant kind of little tete-a-tete for us, and I'm looking forward to that. Mr. Brobbey, what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on stadium announcement, but actually in real time? Marc Guehi, very, very peculiar, but I guess he scored for us. He's probably done better than some. Rada Prika,
He also scored for us, did he not?
he did on his debut, mate. Thought, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah.
We've got a good one here. Not quite sure
Unfortunately,
that
it was
worked out well.
here we go. No, I mean, when you're dealing with clubs of Chelsea's standing, you don't really want to sour relations with them when there's a chance that they'll want to sell one of the 4,000 players they've got a few years down the line. So having that option there is obviously it's going to be better to keep the pace than just try and force the hand a little bit with it. And like Pete's mentioned, the 2.5 million could have brought us in a player that's going to be ours, and it's better to develop someone that's on your own books than not. And on the outgoings and stuff, if we're working on 9, did you say we're working on 9 outgoings?
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah, there's still 9 in the offing.
And I mean, I said this earlier, but it's nice to be in the position with outgoings where we're sad to see them go after so many rats and scumbags we've had over the years and shite, if we're honest. That like we're glad to see the back of players, and now it's like with a heavy heart that people are going. So we've turned a corner, pretty big one in the last little while. So happy with it.
Absolutely, I think it's been a well, it's been a transfer window beyond many a fan's wildest belief, I think. And I'd say probably only arguably bettered by one club in the Premier League personally for the seismic shift that we've seen. And I think we've just had a here we go picture online, if I'm not mistaken. It's probably going to cause a bit of a meltdown. But it's quite nice that it's not a Sunderland meltdown for once. I really appreciate that. And I don't know whether to end the podcast on tempering everyone's kind of enthusiasm or absolutely making everyone more delusional. I suppose my way is to become more delusional. I mean, if this is the summer transfer window, can you imagine January when we're trying to get into the Champions League? Unbelievable. Maybe we'll get Isak on loan. Who knows? I mean, that's my summary of the transfer window. I'll tell you what, we'll do it in reverse order. You've got about 90 seconds each. Ian, what's your thoughts overall? Ingoings, outgoings, potential deals, potential offloads. Yeah, summarise the transfer window for yourself.
It won't take 90 seconds. Outgoings, obviously, until I know exactly who's gone, I'd have to reserve my judgment a little bit, but you'd expect people like Abdullah Bar, who's apparently still alive and playing football, to be out somewhere. Incomings, really happy to quote a great Frenchman. It is good.
I love it. I think that Magnifique would sum that up very, very well. Sophie, marks out of 10. I didn't give Ian the chance, but I didn't want to disturb his dinner, so I thought I'd just cut him off short. Sophie, marks out of 10. Thoughts, pros, cons? What are you thinking?
I don't think there's any cons, apart from obviously if some people don't get offloaded who we think are going to get offloaded, and the dead wood, I suppose. But it's got to be 10 out of 10. It's been amazing. It's probably been, I've got 3 words. It's smart, strategic and exciting. I think that's the way you sum it up. I think it's been brilliant. It's probably been the best window I've ever seen as a Sunderland fan. And the amount of money that we've spent, I didn't even think we had that type of money. So, but you know what? Bring it on. Bring it on. The big stuff starts now.
Absolute disclaimer, to be fair, the transfer windows that you've seen in your disgustingly young life are probably some of the absolute most turgid we've ever seen ever.
Absolutely. George Dobson. Being excited for George Dobson.
Absolutely. Pete, marks out of 10. I think we've already summed it up, but I'll just be very PC and give you your marks out of 10 on the window.
Yeah, absolutely 10. It's a 10. I think I'll go back to what I said at the very beginning. If you had told any of us that we would be signing the players that we've signed for the money that we've signed the day after or immediately after the playoff final, I would have thought you were absolutely insane. But here we are, and I think it's I think it's the most exciting transfer window of my lifetime in terms of players I've seen coming into Sunderland. So I'm only a little bit older than Sophie. I think we worked out I'm 20 years older than Sophie. Oh God. But yes, so it's one of the most exciting. Definitely, I think. Do you know what I'm going to say? It's not one of. It's the most exciting transfer window of my Sunderland sporting life. 10 out of 10.
And you all get one last go each, and I'm not going to. I mean, you can go Sunderland based if you want, but there's one specific one that I remember. So I'll come back to mine last. But what's your favourite dead? Since this has become a thing, remember back in our day, me, you, Ian, and Graham for that matter, this wasn't really a thing, the whole transfer deadline day. In fact, we didn't even have them. So since we've had the yellow ties of Jim White and stuff like that, Ian, what's your favourite ever deadline day memory? Doesn't necessarily have to be Sunderland related, but if you wanted to be, there's probably one very clear standout one.
It's Jermaine Defoe. It's Jermaine Defoe. It's not Jermaine Defoe is my highlight of any transfer window ever. I was up far later than I should have been, talking to Matthew Keelan on Twitter, just tears streaming down my face at how ridiculous it was. The parents' door, who can forget? The streets will remember. It's nothing will beat it. Nothing.
Love that. Sophie, this has probably been a your era type thing, the transfer window, to be fair. But anything that sticks out in your mind, as I say, it doesn't necessarily have to be Sunderland based, but if you've got a Sunderland memory?
I think, it's, what, this is at the time. So not looking back with hindsight, I believe exciting. It was favourite memory. Will Grigg signing for us. I was so excited. Me and my brother were like jumping around our kitchen thinking we've signed the best striker in the league. We're going to see loads of goals. But so like that deadline day memory, obviously with hindsight, was probably the worst. I'm sure it was deadline day anyway. I'm sure it was. But yeah, it's got to be that.
I mean, the document, the documentary. I wonder when we were trying to sign Brian Brobbey, whether there was somebody pacing around going, "This club's going to kill me. Just pay the extra $2 million." Oh, yeah, that's probably not my favourite deadline day memory.
At the
Pete,
time.
yeah. I can understand. Listen, we spent £4.5 million on a song. That's a pretty good deadline day memory to me. Pete, what about yourself? Any?
I'd almost forgotten about Will Grigg. Thanks for that. I was thinking of almost a positive one. I know it didn't turn out wonderful at the end, but it was very exciting. It was Asamoah Gyan. But with Sunderland, yeah, that Will Grigg one, it's hard to get past. From elsewhere, I think there's some great ones that are worth bringing up. But I love it when it goes wrong in the last minute. So like, was it 2015 or something like that? David De Gea. That when they messed up the broken fax machine and the deal collapsed.
Yeah,
We were supposed to go to Real. Who can forget Peter Odem-Wenger?
well, that you've nailed it. That's
driving
my
himself to
ever.
QPR, wasn't given permission, on Sky, and then had to drive back.
Absolute favourite of mine as well. That is my all-time favourite.
It's a great one. Carlos Tevez and Javier Mascherano, going way back to my time properly. Signed them. West Ham signed them from Corinthians. Turned out they weren't owned by them.
Yeah, absolutely. Just
love a bit of that.
I mean, the last time I checked, slavery was abolished many, many years before Keir Jubrican actually owned two human beings. So,
yeah, that is so strange because it really did come down to it. Must have been some point where some lawyers are going through the contracts and going, I think these are indentured humans. There are rules against this. Yeah, madness. But there you go. It all worked out in the end, I suppose. But aye. And then of course, yeah, there you go. Big. That's probably it. But you've put Will Grigg in my mind now. I was having such a nice time.
And I think as a little summary, just to be a little bit nostalgic, as I've pointed out a few times, that just shows you where we are as a football club. To have gone from the days of certain chances coming in, taking on the football club, telling you that the piss take party is over, and apparently that meaning that we play absolutely shite EDM on a clapped out PA system, to signing Mr. Brobbey. What more do you want? I think that's everything you need, and it's quite clear that we're going to be playing European football next year. So from me, from everyone, really appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Please unsubscribe because I know I'm a bit more likeable than Graham, but we really don't want you to listen.
Eric, why did he have to go? Why did he have to go, Eric? I don't know.